But we had some HBCU players that were drafted and also that signed undrafted free agent deals, as well as got rookie camp invites. And I'm going to be missing someone because I believe it was a brother from Winston-Salem State University that got signed as well that wasn't on this list that we posted up on HBCU Pulse. But, we got to spotlight Joshua Williams from Fayetteville State University. He's going to the Chiefs with 135th pick. Jacoby Durant, my guy, I brought him up on last week. I brought him up. I said, hey, he got to get drafted. He was drafted to the Super Bowl champion Rams with 142nd pick. James Houston IV from Jackson State University, Coach Prime. He was drafted to the Detroit Lions, who, by the way, he like the GM's your people. North Carolina A&T Aggie is the GM of the Detroit Lions. All right, so shout out to him. He made sure he held it down for HBCUs by drafting James Houston. And then Jatarra Carter from Southern University was drafted to the Chicago Bears with the 226th pick. And we also want to give a shout out to Marquis Bell from Florida A&M. He has a free agent signing with the Cowboys. Shamar Bridges from the Fort Valley State University, my HBCU, going to the Ravens with my boy Lamar Jackson. We don't need Hollywood Brown. we got Shamar Bridges, okay? We got Shamar from Fort Valley. We got Tyson Williams, who I went to middle school with. You're good with Middle Georgia, Lamar, okay? You're good. You good down here in Bibb County and Peach County, Lamar. You good, all right? Keith Corbin from Jackson State is going to the Bills. Deshaun Dixon from Norfolk State is going to the Jaguars. Felix Harper, this is interesting. He's going to the Browns from Alcorn. He's going to the Browns. He's going to be behind Deshaun Watson and possibly in front of Baker Mayfield. That's funny. Ron Hunt from North Carolina A&T is going to the Jets. Al Young from Jackson State is going to the Giants. God bless his heart. Savon Williams is going to the Jets from Florida A&M. And the rookie minicamp invitations, Will Adams from Virginia State, the Dolphins. D. Anderson from Alabama A&M, he's going to the Saints minicamp. Caleb Carter, Southern, he's going to the Colts minicamp. Stephen Davis Jr., North Carolina A&T, going to the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, okay? Keenan Forbes, from Florida A&M, he's going to the Seahawks minicamp. Aquill Glass, that was shocking. He is going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minicamp. Alabama A&M, is he going to replace Tom Brady? Are we going to get a repeat of Drew Bledsoe?
Let me tell you right now, HBCU player get that spot. It's the fact that people are going to be mad, but the world is turning if an HBCU player is a successor off of the greatest football player of all.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. Then they got a black coach too. Oh, it's over with for y'all, bro. It's over with for y'all. It's gonna be a lot of folks watching Fox News after that game. All right.
Look, sick of me. You finna be sick of me.
Listen, I'm going to be a Buccaneers fan if that happened, but stop playing with me. All right. So CJ Holmes from Jackson State, minicamp with the Saints. You have Zafir Kelly from South Carolina State. He's going to minicamp with the Packers. Jermaine Martin, North Carolina A&T. I thought he was going to get drafted, but he's going to be doing a minicamp with the Colts from North Carolina A&T. Marquis Mclean, Southern University, going to be with the Jets. Najee Reams, North Carolina A&T. He's holding down for the Aggies. The GM holding down for the Aggies now in the HBCUs. He's going to the Lions. I'm telling you. And then Kylan Ritchie from Jackson State, minicamp with the Saints. Got two more people. Braylon Robinson, Jackson State, minicamp with the Buccaneers. And Jawan Taylor, Jackson State, minicamp with the Jets. So shout out to all of these HBCU players. We salute y'all. Make it happen. And for the folks that didn't get drafted or didn't get that free agent signing, man, and you going to that minicamp, go crazy. Like, get a spot. Get that money, all right? Because, listen, you never know what could happen. So I'm proud of all these brothers. So I want to say this quick observation that I want you to give your take. So for the draft picks, all right? So two of these players are going to very favorable places. I would say probably three. Joshua, Jacoby, and Jatir. Joshua and Jacoby are going great places, all right? Jatir, I would say, is the Chiefs and the Rams, to me, that's a great place to be because I only got to play and I get a ring, okay? Like, to be honest. Then Jatir, I think the Bears could utilize him, and then you got Justin Fields that's going to be playing. So I feel like, and you got Tariq Cohen that might be coming back. So I mean, possibly this could be a move. Now James Houston, and I want to say shout out to the GM. That's an HBCU grad. The Lions aren't the most desirable place, but I think they had a really good draft. So maybe it'll be good for him. He can help turn around that Lions franchise. I mean, but I was sort of like, when I saw Joshua and Nakobe come off the board, I'm like, do I want to get drafted in like the last round? Because I think I might go to the best place.
Listen, people really forget when you're ranking, and it's kind of easy to follow. You're ranking from worst to best teams. So what better position to be than to be chosen last and be chosen by the last two teams that had the best record in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs, and then you got the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Los Angeles Rams. I would be excited. My hopes would be up. That's not bad. We all knew, and it's kind of sad, but we're doing better that most HBCUs and maybe those D2 or D3 schools are chosen in the last rounds in those last couple of days. But I'm excited that a lot of them were chosen in the NFL draft, then besides being signed as a free agent or going to these mini camps. No shade to anybody that's doing that. I'm excited that we had a whole list of players that are being signed that are going to mini camps. I'm excited, but it feels even better to actually just see 4 or 5 amazing HBCU players get drafted within those days. So that's very exciting. I'm proud of them.
Yes. And I want to say real quick, because I don't want to leave this brother out, and it might be more out there, but the Winston-Salem State University football player that got an undrafted free agent deal, so he's getting signed regardless. Joshua Flowers went to Winston-Salem. He's going to be signing an undrafted free agent deal with the Jaguars. So shout out to him as well. All right, I want to make sure I got him in. So the thing is this. So I want to have this conversation, and then we can leave it here. So we hate money games. Deion Sanders hates money games, and we put it on YouTube. People agreed. There was a whole debate in the YouTube comments when we did that video back in September when we first started. But a question has to be asked when we look at Jacoby Durant getting drafted and being taken off that board. Do money games help the draft stock? Do money games help the draft stock? Because, see, ESPN has a lot of these games. So we know that the Celebration Bowl was on ABC. It got record viewing. But I think that a lot of people saw, and a lot of scouts, especially and NFL people, saw how tough Jacoby Durant was in that loss against Clemson. Because, see, Clemson beat South Carolina State 49-3. But he got several interceptions. All right, I'm looking at the stats, but he had several interceptions. He had a pretty good game, and he made some impacts on that field against an ACC defense, an ACC offense. So, do these money games sort of help? Because I don't like the money games. I said this I don't think we released this episode. But I said something that I think I was a little bit wrong on, in maybe college football can have like an NFL type of feel, where if Jackson State and Alabama A&M are in the same division, I want to see them play twice, home and home. But maybe that's not possible, and I get that. Maybe that's not possible. But I would like to see more games where, if it's HBCU versus PWI, where these HBCUs can actually compete with the team on the other side. But does playing Clemson help? I think North Carolina A&T is going to play Georgia in a few years. Will that help out some possible draftee prospects? Like, will that help? So what do you think about these money games? Because Jacoby Durant seems to have gotten drafted off of that one game. I want to say this one last thing too, Arielle, just to set it up. I was watching ESPN, and I was watching like when they said Jacoby Durant got drafted by the Rams, because they showed it. And they brought up really only the Clemson game. That was the one thing they spotlighted. They didn't talk about the Celebration Bowl. They didn't talk about the game against Norfolk State. Like, they didn't talk about these other games where he shined in and that defense is going crazy. They talked about the Clemson game. So do you think that now, looking at Jacoby Durant getting drafted, that these money games now have a purpose?
Well, I think To your last point, that's just the setup of the system. Not to sound like, I'm awakening people, but that's just a setup. ESPN is not going to give the time, the effort, or what's needed yet to HBCUs unless it's given. And so that's the responsibility of all the Black broadcasters that were on there to say something about the Celebration Bowl, because you should have all the writers that are behind the scenes, actually getting analysts from those conferences to say something. But that's a different story for a different day. But I do agree with you. And I agree with you not to plug in my old alma mater. Shout out to everybody at North Carolina A&T. But when A&T switched to the Big South, that made a complete difference. Playing all those white schools, playing Wake Forest, playing Duke, you get that visibility, and that's basically what HBCU players, especially the Black community, needs. Is visibility. When you give them that, their chances boost through the roof. Not to say that NFL players coming to be coaches are not helping, or the Black Lives Matter movement didn't help, all those initiatives that were set in place. But visibility is what we need. When you get those people in where they want to see, which they want to see people play Duke, they want to see people play Wake Forest, they want to see people play Clemson. When you get them in those games where it's being broadcasted across the world on ESPN Plus or ESPNU or ESPN2, you're going to start seeing those players. So that's probably the main reason why he got drafted. You put him on a big stage like that where he's going to be seen. It's hard to ignore him. It's hard to ignore anybody at that point. That's basically what happened. And so now with A&T going into the Colonial Athletic Association, that's even more widespread games. It's even more visibility. I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers went up next year for HBCU players that are being drafted. Money games might, unfortunately, be the way to go if we ever want some kind of team, some kind of career in professional sports.
I hate that it has to be like that, but unfortunately it is. And I said this last week, and we'll end here. I wonder how it's going to be when Travis Hunter gets drafted, because he's going to get drafted. How you have Deion Sanders pull in like a number one recruit, and they were saying he was number two, but whatever. Number one, number two, it don't matter. A top recruit that people were going crazy over. And look at that spring game, he has some great intangibles already, just coming straight out of high school. And I think that no matter what, he's going to garner attention with Deion being on Coach Prime's team. And then also just his skill. I believe that he's going to get, a lot of burn. And I see maybe next year, maybe 2 years from now, maybe he might stay all 4 years at Jackson State. He might love it so much there at He might stay all 4 years. But when it's that time, I want to see how far up that board he goes. Because can he be a first round pick from an HBCU, the first we've seen in a minute? Is that possible, or is it just so much going on in the NCAA that he shuffles down the board? Because I think that that's going to say a lot about where we are. But I think that the HBCU combine helped. I think it helped, and I think that a lot of inclusion of the HBCU players that were in those different spring games for the NFL that showed their skills, I think that helped out as well. So I hope that the NFL continues that. That, like I said, they had an optics problem. And I listened back to our broadcast last week. I don't think that they were picking the players just for their optics. I think that they now opened up their palette to the talent that HBCUs provide. So I'll go back on what I said last week. Because I think that the NFL does have an optics problem. They need 20/20 hindsight. All right. They need something, but I think that they finally opened themselves up to players that can really change their franchise. But we can go on and on and on. I'm excited. I'm hyped now because we talk about HBCU players. But God bless that brother that went to the Giants, man. God bless. Hopefully he could be a change that we want to see.